All right, time now for our final round call of the day. Today we are talking once again about Tesla. That stock finishing today's session up 7.3%, 858.40 on the close here. Jared, you would know the numbers exactly. I think this is its second best ever close, third best ever close. Not far off that 900 plus closing price we saw a couple of weeks ago. But who else but Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas today out commenting on the name. Jonas has the unconventional, though I think quite compelling structure of a bear, base, and bull case on the stock. So his bull case now on shares of Tesla, $1,200 per share. That is up from his previous outlook for $650 per share. So basically doubling. His base case, $500 a share, up from $360. Not to be forgotten, his bear case is now $220 per share for Tesla, up from $115. And I think if we could start there briefly, $220 per share above the low that we saw last year. So basically, Adam Jonas says the May level, we're not seeing that again.
Right. I mean, if we just look, flipping over to that bull case, that's 4 million units of auto volume by 2030, 12% operating margin. That's pretty ambitious. But if we look at that base case, 2.2 million units, a 10% operating margin in the next decade. Yeah. That's about a north of a 15% CAGR of versus the deliveries that we saw this past year. So it's something that Tesla could feasibly hit, particularly if we look at just the battery volume, the fact that it is potentially weaning itself off of that Panasonic partnership, boosting its investment in Maxwell, that acquisition back from 2019. I think that's something that we'll have more clarity on in this April battery day, if you will, that analysts are really looking forward to as the next catalyst for this stock.
Yeah, I think here's the big picture for me with Tesla. I'm learning so much about why I should be bullish on Tesla simply because the share price has gone up and Wall Street is scrambling after themselves to make excuses for it. I will say there are some interesting cases anecdotally that I keep hearing that relate to its IP moat. For instance, over the weekend I was reading a report where somebody in Japan did a complete teardown, and with a car that's mainly electronic, that's got to be difficult. But they didn't see a lot of other people's components in it. So this guy said they have a 6-year head start on Volkswagen, on Toyota, and it seems like they do have a moat, whereas I didn't necessarily see it before, maybe with the self-driving information, but it's kind of come together from the story that Wall Street is now finally making.
Yeah, I think it is kind of a mind bender in a way, because I think we were all so familiar with the Tesla story being like, well, you've already decided if it's good or bad. Right, and then not really go, and maybe I'm just guilty of saying, oh, well, Tesla stock's up a lot because the bears capitulated, or it's down a lot because the bulls capitulated, right? Maybe that was just our mistake, but the stock kind of did nothing for several years, right? It really languished for a while. It never really could get above, let's call it $300 a share or so. It got down to $185. It was cut in half in the first couple of months of 2019.
Well, and thank Elon for being a loose cannon for most of that time.
He just
threw a monkey in it.
$420 a share. The SEC is mad at his tweets, and he hires people to make sure he doesn't tweet. Then that person quits the company, and then they install someone on the board who was his friend from Australia, whatever. So there's a whole thing. And now the stock just quintuples, and it's oh no, so actually it's fine. Don't worry. At $850 a share, now it all makes sense. It is kind of a weird. It feels like a brain-breaking moment for me, at least.
Yeah. Well, and now they got the cash on hand, raising another $2 billion. They should be set for a few years. Yeah. Theoretically. We'll see. Well,
I think that's part of it. That's part of Adam Jonas's call as well, is just this idea of this lowered weighted average cost of capital in, that discounted cash flow model. So really seeing that this company can be highly capitalized, it can issue, additional shares at a discount and not see pressure on that stock even that same day that it announced that, I think is, positive for Tesla traders.
Yeah, maybe they should have issued more stock last week.
Yeah, well, he probably could have gotten away with it, and the stock price would probably be higher now. Interesting similarity between where Tesla was a couple weeks ago and where Virgin Galactic is right now. Those charts look very similar, and for Virgin Galactic's sake, they're going to be judged by the down. So if you advance by 400 or 500%, you can correct 30%, but you got to hold on to that. Yeah. You start going too much lower, and the shorts win.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of, when Tesla shares first started spiking, I've done this thing a million times. You trace through the last couple of mini bubbles the last few years, but now you sort of wonder, since Tesla has a little something there, maybe it's probably Virgin Galactic is part of that trade. Yeah. Virgin Galactic is a lot more similar to Beyond Meat than Tesla is similar to Beyond Meat, and also this stock chart is just ridiculous.
And plus the TAM of infinity plus pi.
Yeah, exactly.
And another stock in Adam Jonas's coverage area, which he also has an overweight.
There's a lot of crossover between Adam Jonas, Reddit, like futurist stuff.
Right. FinTwit.
Yeah,
Tesla
finance
Q.
Twitter, all that stuff. And, you know, look, as Shauna Smith once said.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.